in Agile environments. Hi, Mrs. Minion. Good to see you again. That's awesome. Nice. It has been a long time. Oh, I see you're pregnant. Oh, congrats. That's awesome. Very good. Nice. Feedback, right? The performance review. That's why we are meeting here right now, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry that so it has been a year already, right? So and I'm really sorry about that, like for all the delay and so on. But finally we're here, and I actually managed to have 1 hour for you right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's been longer than a year, but
really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's probably because I'm you know that I'm a very important person, right? So I mean, after all, I'm a boss, right? So and you know, like I mean, we have 1 hour. I would like you to appreciate that, please. Yeah, that we actually can spend that time together here. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Nice. Good setting the tone right now, right? Okay. Good. Awesome. Actually, I would like to give you feedback right now. The problem is, well, I haven't seen you so much lately, and I mean, it's already a year, a little bit longer, as you said. So I asked a few colleagues of yours and a few customers you work with, and actually, I'm very good in actually judging people, right? Because I'm the boss, right? So and therefore, I think I can give you plenty of good feedback. Okay, so here it comes.
Yeah. It doesn't necessarily sound fair. I mean, if you can't really assess me, but you giving me feedback, but I guess that's the way it is. So.
Oh, come on, it's feedback, right? After all, so come on, let's do that,
yeah,
okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So you've given me quite a lot of feedback, but it's pretty much only been on my weaknesses and my gaps and my shortcomings in the past.
Yes. And like that, right?
Well, I would have actually enjoyed or liked for you to also let me know what works well and what I'm good at.
No, wait a second. It's all about improvement, right? Continuous improvement. If we can eradicate all those weaknesses with the employees, right, then we're actually having a much better organization, right? We're more productive, more satisfied, everyone. I mean, I'm more satisfied, yeah? So, and that's actually a good thing, right? So that's actually how we improve, how we grow, isn't it?
If you say so.
Yes. I would say so. So let's do that. Okay. So with all the feedback, let's go without further ado. Let's talk about salary. Yeah. So like feedback, stop, salary, starting now. Okay. Is that
Sure. Now that we've talked about all my weaknesses and my shortcomings,
yeah.
I guess it's the perfect time to talk about my salary.
See, you get it. Awesome. Let's talk about salary then. Okay. Awesome. Good guys. That should actually be the tone for our message here. Our message, a little bit complicated, I walk you through that. Our message is peer groups is a positive, future-oriented, decentralized, frequent and personal growth enabling alternative to classical, negative, past-oriented, centralized and infrequent top-down performance review. I know that's a German sentence, sorry for that. But it actually summarizes very good what we actually want to convey in this session. Okay? So this is this session all about here. Okay?
Yeah, so firstly I wanted to talk about some of the things that we've learned at REA. So for those of you who don't know REA Group, it's the group that also does realestate.com.au, so it might sound more familiar to you guys. So we also found a couple of those things quite some time ago, and we already improved in having monthly one-on-ones. So instead of having a year or even longer, we had monthly one-on-ones, which were already better, but they were still, management centric. And then last year, after last year's performance reviews, the people in the management team actually found, well, we don't really create a lot of relevant feedback for the employees, for every individual. And so how can we improve that? How can we make that more valuable for people? And then we created we formed a feedback initiative, and one of the things that we kind of really liked was this quote by Ken Blanchard, which is feedback is the breakfast for champions. So the thought that we had was, well, in the end, it's about our people, our individuals that we want to develop. So what can we do to actually support people to be their personal best? So we worked on a couple of different ideas, different thoughts about performance review. Can we do more feedback within the teams, across the individuals? And we did, and we experimented a lot with grassroots feedback initiatives from within the teams. And it's actually pretty interesting that it's evolved over the last year. And there's a lot of teams that do that. We just had a brown bag session just on feedback the other week, which was really good because there's just so many things that now pop up. And so we started with this grassroots approach, and now we're actually starting to also think about ways on how we can incorporate that more in our annual performance review process to make it more valuable to the people instead of just having this once a year performance review.
Well, that was Vicky's company. My former company, at the moment I'm freelancing, my former company in Germany where I spent 7.5 years of my life working for was Agile. And they came up with basically they replaced performance reviews with peer groups. The idea was, because actually it was only a little bit exaggerated here that play. At the beginning it was something like that with IT Agile. We had 10 employees and 1 boss, and we were all Agile coaches, Agile consultants, something like that, so always at the client side. So our boss actually couldn't give us valuable feedback at the annual performance review. And we actually did annual performance reviews, and because we're always not in sync with the appointments, sometimes it took 1.5 to 2 years to do that, right? So, and that was actually that thing, and in that company we had one great thing, that is the employees could actually change their company. So we started doing peer groups, and the end result of that was, at least that was it when I left the company, that was that we had peer groups, almost every employee had peer groups. It was optional to have a peer group, so either you go to the boss and have your performance review, if that's still satisfying for you, or you have a peer group. If you have a peer group, you have to have at least 3 peers, and they should give you feedback, and the boss becomes more of a coach, meaning he's checking that you actually get that feedback and that you do something with that feedback, so that you actually learn from that feedback and that you actually build upon that and that you grow with that feedback. So that was actually what we did at IT Agile.
And then there's many other companies as well out there. Some of them might be well known to you guys, that also do some sort of peer review or peer group approach for giving feedback, for improving themselves and personal development. And so yeah, we just found a couple of different articles and had a chat with some of the people who work at those places as well. So there's definitely material out there for you guys if you're interested to actually understand how the different approaches work at different companies. Then feel free to kind of research a bit on that. But it's just really interesting to see that it's, even though most of you might have actually been able to relate to some of the things you've seen in the play before, there's really a lot of companies that do want to change that big time, and that have already started with pretty cool approaches as well.
And the pattern is almost always the same. We were unhappy with how performance reviews went in our place. Therefore, we looked at something different, and we came to the insight that peer groups are actually a good thing. So, almost all of those companies have that kind of approach, or that way that they process. Yeah. So this is basically our message in a table form, in a spreadsheet form. That's what I want to say. Spreadsheet form, and well, you see the old things on the left side. Old things in terms of we don't want to diminish too much the performance review. You're doing that a lot still, I guess. Yeah. So, but for us, the new way, the better way would actually be to have peer groups. So that's on the right side, the new things. So well. Vic, do you want to start with the
sure. So the first one is obviously the negative focus that you also saw in the slides. It was more about weaknesses. It was more about Mrs. Minion's shortcomings and gaps. Whereas in peer groups, it should be about a positive focus. How can you improve? How can I support you in getting where you want to go? What your goal is, and actually sending those messages. and also not have them be past oriented, like just focus on the past. It's good to focus on the past, but we also want to understand, okay, what is the way forward? How can I improve? So that's two of the main things that are important here.
The next one is centralized versus decentralized. Centralized, like the single point of awesome, or to tell the truth, the single point of failure is the boss in the performance review, whereas decentralized, when you have your peer groups, it's actually spread around the whole company. So, and that doing things decentralized, when you do it frequently, you do it often, and they're important, that is actually a very good thing to do. You don't have that single point of failure / awesomeness anymore. Yeah?
Yeah, similarly to some of the things we've talked about in the nightly talk this morning, if you give frequent feedback, it's more relevant as well, because you can actually relate to it better. If your peers can actually give you that feedback right away, or at a well-chosen point in time when it's actually good to give that feedback. So that's, again, to kind of highlight those frequent, infrequent. Again, we don't want to focus on weaknesses and gaps. We actually want to focus on strength and growth, and we're also going to give you an idea on how you can get started in that. Because in the end, that's what motivates people, that's what gets you going. And if you focus on those things, you will actually improve, and you will create a better relationship to also then, in a good way, with good feedback, to address some weaknesses and gaps, but it should not be the focus.
So, and there are a lot of patterns in that spreadsheet. For example, because something is decentralized, you can do it more often, because you just have more people who are actually available for you. Therefore, you can do it more often. And because you do it more often, you also can go deeper. You can actually follow up on feedback. It's not once a year and then just scratching the surface. If you do it, for example, in a peer group setting monthly, and some do, they want to have that kind of like that support when they want to grow, right? So if you do it monthly, you can really go deep into things. Like, please give me feedback and help me to actually digest it, to learn from that. So that's profound with peer groups. Superficial, well, not that the boss doesn't try to be like profound as well, but there is just not so much chance to do that, right? Once a year, for an hour, maybe two, yeah? So how deep can you go then, right? And the last one here, tightly coupled with salary and loosely coupled with salary. We don't want to go too much into salary details, but this feedback is not well received if immediately afterwards you talk about the money. All you actually have in mind when you talk about feedback is the anticipation of the negotiation when it comes to salary. That's a bad thing. Therefore, with peer groups, we want to aim for decoupling that feedback conversation with the actually salary negotiation. Okay? So a good approach is actually to have the peer group feedback system, and besides that, something for the salary. Decouple it timely as much as possible.
And that kind of like, so you've seen the table, and that's kind of how the table leads to the message we want to send today. The main message of that peer groups is a positive, future-oriented, and decentralized, frequent, and personal growth-enabling alternative to classical negative, past-oriented, centralized, and infrequent top-down performance review.
So, what can you do? Now that we showed you, well, at least give you an idea about what peer groups are and how that could look like in a company. So how could you actually start? What are the first steps? What is action? How can you do something tomorrow or start something tomorrow? So here's it. That's one thing, appreciations. And the appreciations are tightly coupled with the emotional bank account. Let me explain. Appreciations are usually a very good thing to do. If you ever done retrospectives, it's very likely that your facilitator has done that with you, which is at the end of the retrospective, you appreciate things you find actually helpful, valuable, etc. To your group, to your teammates, for example, at the end of the retrospective. You can do that at the beginning of the retrospective. You can do that at stand-ups. You can do that after meetings. You can do that at 9 o'clock every morning. Yeah, so those appreciations are actually paying into something that John Gottman, great guy by the way, read his books, his articles, he's really good. He calls that an emotional bank account. And like with a proper bank account, you can put something on that bank account, like put something in that bank vault, or you can actually something withdraw. Positive emotions, For example, appreciations are actually paid onto that, or in that bank account, whereas every time you have a conflict or things are not going so smoothly anymore, you actually can withdraw from that. If you don't have anything on your bank account and you want to withdraw something, you have to pay interest, right? So how often can you do that? Okay? So, and if you already have a huge stack of positive things in your bank account, your notional bank account, then it's actually easy to actually go through some conflict, right? So that actually builds trust a lot, and you need that trust to actually be better able to digest the feedback that you get from your peers. That's why this is a very good way to prepare yourself to have actually a proper peer group feedback discussion. Do you see that? Does it make sense? Yeah.
So that's why it's actually really good to kind of start off with the good things, because then you create that trust, you pay into your bank account and go into the positive. If you withdraw something by just giving some feedback on, hey Bernd, when the thing you did this morning, this is the impact that it had on me, he will probably, most probably because we're in the positive, not take it personally, but he will probably take it as a statement about the thing that he did and what the impact was on him. So the emotional bank account metaphor is really a good one to just keep in mind. So the next one is one of the things I've mentioned before in regards to how you can focus on strengths and growth more than on weaknesses and gaps.
You might not be able to read that. A way to assess and expose your strength. Okay.
Yeah, strengths finder. And I hope you can see the picture as well.
The strong guy or lady, we're not sure actually, because it's from the back. Like, yeah.
Exactly. Discriminate. Might be a very muscular lady. So yeah, so strengths finder is a book and a concept that's been evolved over like more than 30 years. And the idea of the concept is to actually focus on your strengths rather than focus on your weaknesses. Because what we tend to do easily is, I'm not good at that, I want to improve on that. Or somebody else told us that you're not good at that, so I want to improve on that. If we do, we're going to spend so much more energy, because it might not necessarily be something that links to our strengths, that if we would actually focus on our strengths, understand what they are, use them and leverage them in our teams to then become better in that. One metaphor the author states is that he says a professional basketball player, if he was to invest 2 hours of his time into improving his basketball skills, will probably get more out of it if he, rather than actually deciding, okay, I want to become a professional swimmer. 2 hours of his time in a pool will not get him even close to what he could do when he would spend those 2 hours in improving his basketball skills. So that metaphor is really nice as well. So the Strengths Finder, what we did at REA is that we actually started with one team, so start small. We did it with the team. The team then had these epiphanies. It's like, oh, okay, I have these strengths. That's pretty awesome. And then we ran a team session as well, and the guys started having discussions as to, that's why we work really well together, or that's why we complement each other in pairing, for example, or that's why we don't necessarily work too well together, but if we paired up in a different way, we would actually be so much stronger as a team. So it really started to kind of feed into the emotional bank account of that team, and then kind of start having those discussions around the strengths. So the weaknesses weren't necessarily in focus. So it's really good. And since then, which is really cool, it really evolved over time. It's spread across multiple teams. There's been so many changes. It changed into personal development plans and transparent personal development goals, because again, it is a strength focus, so people weren't afraid to kind of put that out there. So it's really a good thing to do.
And just to give you an idea about some strengths, we would like to share a strength of her and a strength of me. So I'll share your strength, if that's okay. So my wife over here has a strength to woo people. Like woo, that is a strength. That is like W-O-O. Yeah. So we were not even aware that is a kind of strength. But if you think about that as a connector, as someone who's actually like connecting very good with people, how awesome is that as a delivery manager, right? So and
yeah, and Bernd as well. So yeah, exactly. So one of Bernd's strengths is individualization, and and that is the strength which he can actually see when he joins the team. He can see the individual strengths, and he will be able to kind of leverage those and make it transparent and work with that, which is really, really a good strength as well, especially as an agile coach, trainer, and so forth. So it's just, you know, even if you just did it for yourself, you'll have these aha moments where you're like, oh, okay, I didn't even know I had that, and then you just read a bit about that. So it's really, really good. And more importantly, I actually found that doing it on a team level, even more awesome, like really, 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 really good. So the other thing that I've touched on briefly before was peer feedback sessions. Since we had this feedback initiative, we had multiple teams in the company as well, kind of as grassroots initiatives that started doing peer feedback sessions. And one example is the so-called speedback, or like similar to speed dating, but in feedback terms. So what they do is like they book a room for like 30 minutes, and then they have different time slots, like 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how you go. Like again, you can experiment with that, as we did as well. And then they just get together in pairs of 2, a chosen pair. So it's pull, not push. So they check in whether or not they want to have a chat. And then they get in a room and they just give each other feedback. Sometimes they might not have anything to say to each other, then they just give observations, or they know the strengths, they know the goals, they support each other. So again, it kind of links into the emotional bank account. It creates that trust in the relationship. I had one colleague of mine when I started in my role last year, and I started talking about this, and he said, I don't really believe in feedback. So similar to what I said this morning, that when people hear feedback, they go like, well, I don't want to be part of this. Since we started these feedback sessions on a regular basis, he just came to me the other day and he said, you know, remember when I said that? I changed my mind. So because it was a positive feedback experience, the way we did it, it really changed his perception, and it really did a great deal for the team.
So this is a video. Well, it's actually started and we don't have audio, so we're just telling you what you can see here as with the moderator do. So Franz de Waal, it's actually a video out of a TED talk from Franz de Waal, and you can see 2 monkeys and 2 different kinds of
food rewards.
Reward, thank you. 2 kinds of rewards, which is well, gherkin basically, and which is a grape. Thank you. So the grape and the gherkin. So grapes are actually gherkins are very, very good as rewards, but grapes top that. Grapes are sweeter. They are much better, right? So now you will see 2 monkeys in a second in that video. They perform tasks. So, and they get a reward for that. And one gets a cucumber, a gherkin, and the other one gets a grape. And see what happens then. And so we will see that in a second. When he actually talks what I just talked.
It's not so good in dubbing, like he should have been there in dubbing.
Yeah, sorry. So you see 2 cages here. That's one monkey, that's the other monkey. Can we turn off the light just for a second? Is that possible? Just click everything. Yes. Awesome. Yeah, very good. Thank you. So that nice lady over here is actually, like, that's a task, like giving back a stone. So, and he gets the cucumber here. So, and he eats it, and he's totally fine with that. He would do that 100 times in a row, no problem with that. So that monkey does the same, but gets a grape. So, and now look what happens. He does the same task again, cucumber. Dude, that sucks. That sucks. Totally. You can't do that. I'm angry. The other monkey still gets the grapes, performs the task, and he's actually proving. You can't hear that. He's knocking with the stone on the sidewalk. So. Damn.
Where's my grape? I want it.
It's just not fair, right? Can you go on? Okay, good. It's just not fair. Our point, thank you very much, awesome. Our point here is, it's just not fair. But with peer groups, you get actually better understanding and a better acceptance of feedback through your peers. It's not fair if you have just one person, the boss, giving you feedback and judging you and then giving you salary afterwards. It's much better if you had time to digest the feedback from several peers, so over time, and to actually, well, work with that feedback, so that you actually understand why that feedback might be accurate or not, so you actually can do something about it.
And it's not biased, as in the boss talks to specific people that he chooses to talk to then give you feedback based on that. But you actually you own that piece in peer groups. Yeah.
Awesome. Nice. Fairness. Last time you see that slide, promise? You hopefully understand right now that peer groups is a positive, future-oriented, decentralized, frequent, and personal growth-enabling alternative to classical, negative, past-oriented, centralized, and infrequent top-down performance review. And, well,
yeah, so again, like there's so much to this topic as you can imagine. Hopefully we were able to kind of inspire you to kind of look into that more, to read on a couple of different companies and their approaches on peer groups. Or if not, feel free to grab us while we're here, have a chat about what we can do, how we've done it at REA, at IT Agile, maybe at other companies, or talk to other people what their approaches were. Or get in touch with us through one of those communication channels.
But that's, by the way, when we get cucumber, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
We have a couple of minutes.
2 minutes left.
Questions? I could probably take 2 or 3 questions. Yep.
Can this be done in a team with low trust?
So the question was, can that be done in a team with low trust?
I would definitely say yes, because I think that the issue that you have low trust, that is something, well, where does that trust come from? You could actually be right at the bottom paying lots and lots and lots of interest on a negative bank account, that actually emotional bank account, that actually creates this low level of trust. So I probably, think about, maybe there are ways to kind of incorporate that. StrengthsFinder is a great way to kind of shape that thought of everybody has strengths. And they're awesome, because if you read that book, it's pretty cool. It gives you like 3 pages per strength, and it also gives you an idea on, how to work with a person who has specific strengths. So you're happy to for me to share another strength of yours? So I read that, and Ben shared the strength with me. And so one of his other strengths is competitiveness, which is a great thing as well. Like every strength can be a tool, can be a weapon, right? But it's a pretty cool thing. So I read about, okay, what can you, how do you work with a person that has competitiveness? So it just said a person that is competitive likes to win. So I was like, so that's what it is. Like, you just get these epiphanies and you just think about it in a different way. You don't think that sucks. You actually think about it as, wow, that's a strength. And how can we leverage that within our team? So that would probably be something that you could start off with and see how that works. Because there's no judgment in that. I mean, that's on an empirical research for 30 years. That is most probably the top 5 strengths of you. So that's probably something to get started. I definitely say yes. There's definitely room to improve the low level of trust.
And the other thing, a good assessment is to do appreciations. Just try to do that. Only 2 minutes. I had a team once that it was borderline to mutiny. Like they were like, no, we can't, no, we don't, no. Forget it. Yeah. So really, it was an absolute no-go for them to do something like that. So that shows you, wow, okay, like the bank account is like, whoa, like really low, okay? So, and then you can work with that. If you have something like a foot in the door with appreciations already, then you can widen that opening, yeah? So like step by step, for example, with StrengthsFinder and so on. Make sense?
Yep. Maybe one last question before we wrap up.
All there?
Yeah, hi. So in the context of peers giving feedback to someone who's performing badly, and the peers aren't able to uplift their capability, and inevitably that person needs to move on. How is that dealt with in the context of this?
Yeah, but that's a tricky one, and I guess it comes down to like the level of maturity of the team giving feedback, and that's where you can't just say, okay guys, it's all up to you, you just deal with it. You definitely want to give them support, you definitely want to coach them, you definitely want to give them an option to actually come back to you and say, hey, I've noticed this, I'd love to give feedback on it. I don't know how to do that in a good way. Ideally, you really want to do that as soon as possible. Because if we don't give people feedback, we're setting them up for failure. Yeah. That is actually a really good thing to keep in mind. If you don't give feedback on something that you think could be improved on, you're setting your colleague, your teammates up for failure. So keep that in mind. I mean, it is a tricky one. You definitely need to understand how to give feedback in a good way. And there's something, for example, to look into that we're trialing at the moment. So I mentioned that we're doing a lot of experiments at REA. We looked into crucial conversations, which is some of you might know the book, which is a book and a concept on how you can actually give feedback without, hurting someone's feelings or making it more specific, like similar to what we told you guys about this morning about how to give good feedback. So it's definitely a tricky one, but definitely something you want to do.
Sure, I guess where I'm coming from is more, because one of the things about the performance process that corporates have is there's documentation to support performance management processes. In all cases where there's sort of implications with having someone move on.
But it's a process, right?
Yeah.
If you actually find someone who's not performing, whatever that means, if you're in the team context, you're very early in the process. You have so many opportunities to kind of work on that. Whereas, right on the other side, when you actually talk about it at management formal performance process. So ideally, you want to start early. That's why this whole frequent part in the peer group system is really, really important. And timing, yeah. So we need to. Sorry, if you want, let's talk after the session. Okay.
Thank you, guys.